What's good? It's Ozman the Wizard.
And Naima.
This is not another damn podcast.
Yes.
Presented by our damn selves. 193, 19 Trey. Yeah. We got a special connection with that number. You grew up on it.
The 9 Trey.
9 Trey, baby. Over East, baby. Let's go.
East.
9 Trey over East. That's where we come from. Yeah.
Over East people know about that.
Cal Heights, baby.
Cal Heights raised me.
9 Trey over East. Yeah. So, we're in the middle of another mini vortex. It's not as bad as the one a couple years ago, but it's pretty bad. It's below zero temps right now as we record this.
Yeah.
I'm inside, so thankfully I'm not out there.
It feels like -8 degrees. I'm like, yeah, I won't be going out. I did my running yesterday, so I was like, yeah, I don't have to go out the house today. So, But yeah, very cold out, and just be careful because like it did snow again last night. I said for people who are in Chicago, it snowed a little bit. And you know, when the temperature drops and it snows, it turns to ice. So
I went and shoveled last night to get my my drive, my parking space and all of that cleaned. Mm-hmm. Said I'm not getting stuck in that ice, so I went and shoveled that last night. Yeah. I also checked on our mom, made sure she was good and everything.
Yeah, she was good. She told me when I talked to her, she was like, yes, and he came by and he fixed it up, and she's like, yeah, he just had everything good for me. I'm like,
yeah, just came and cleared it off and said, because this shit is going to be ice tomorrow, so let me do it right now while I'm thinking about it.
But I'm hoping,
this one is not supposed to last long. I think temps supposed to return to normal in a day or two. So
I hope so.
We are in a mini vortex. Yeah.
Because I'm like, Groundhog's Day just happened. Somebody said, did the groundhog see a shadow?
Did the fucker see a shadow, or do we care about that? I think I talked about that. I talked about that on my radio show. I was like, did he see a shadow, or do people even care about that?
People even care.
Shout out Cinema Sans, who did do a Groundhog's Day episode.
Phil Biloxi, was that his name?
Yeah. Oh, no, Poxatummy Phil, whatever.
Poxatummy Phil, yeah, the little.
Yeah. Great movies. Bill Murray. It was the last move. Bill Murray, Harold Ramis project. The last time they worked together. I think they had a falling out during that, and Bill, to this day, still regrets that because I don't think they ever spoke again.
Yeah,
Bill died. They might have made up on his deathbed or something like that. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, but all the time that was wasted though. In between, you could have had 20 years where you could have reached.
Going back to Stripes, one of my favorite movies, which is a classic. I don't know if you ever saw Stripes. It's like Police Academy, but it's for the Army. That's what it was like.
If I have, it was maybe so long ago that I forgot what the movie was about. I would rewatch.
If you've seen Police Academy, you know it's about the new cadets. That's what Stripes was, but for the Army though. Mm-hmm. It's based Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, John Candy, Judge Reinhold. Is had a hell of a.
Oh, okay. I'm sold now. I'm gonna try to see if it's streaming somewhere. Now I'm sold. You said John Candy.
Might be on Amazon. I don't know.
Yeah, you said all them, and you said Judge Reinhold.
Judge Reinhold. That's
nice. Billy, right? Wasn't that Billy?
Yeah, Billy.
Yeah.
Billy. He also played in the Fast Times. He got caught jerking off. Yeah.
When he was.
Brad. I was like, what's his name? It was Brad. Brad on Fast Times.
He walks in.
We saw her when she took the top off, and he was like, and then she walks in
her face was just horrified. That was great acting by her, by Phoebe Cates. Her face was just horrified.
Doesn't anybody ever fucking knock anymore? What a movie. Shit came out damn near 40 years ago. That's crazy.
Movies that wouldn't get made now. Ding.
Fast Times is definitely not getting all the underage sex and that. A lot of them were closer to 30, but
what you call it? The one was it Mike Damone? He was about a little bit younger than I am now. He was almost the age I am.
Forrest Whitaker was 25 and that shit.
Remember when I first watched it, I was like, oh, that's not the father. I thought Mike Damone was a father talking to his son.
Talking to the rat.
He was talking to And I was like, wait a minute, he's a high school student? I was like, dude, look about 35. Like, wait a minute.
For those that don't know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it came out in the early 80s.
Like
it was your typical, 80s, high teen movie.
Yeah, teen movie.
Yeah. It was some Not Another Teen movie pair, like they stole they parodied some parts of that movie. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They did some of the stuff they got from that movie, but it was good. Like I said, it was hilarious though to me. That was one of my early it might have been one of the first R-rated movies I saw. I remember that.
Top movie I say that wouldn't get made is Revenge of the Nerds.
Absolutely
that would
not.
Get made. Ding, survey says that would never get made in today's climate. And the Me Too and all that.
Way too controversial.
Because they took it off of everything. It's not even streaming nowhere anymore.
Hard to find nerds anywhere.
So, like, unless you just have it on DVD or something, then.
Nerds.
Nerds.
What's Ogre doing right now?
Ogre? He's about 70 years old now.
It's probably about that.
Because they were old.
Wow. Stan Gable, baby. Let's go. What's his name? Ted McGinley.
We're talking about old stuff. Did you hear about a reboot that's coming? Did you see a trailer for this reboot?
Mm-mm.
Punky Brewster is coming back.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw the reboot. It's going to be on Peacock TV. It's going to be on
Peacock. They dig it in the fucking archive.
Yeah, they
already got the Saved by the Bell reboot is already on. Which I watched the first episode on YouTube. I don't have Peacock, but I had it for free on YouTube. That's to try to get you to subscribe. We give you the first episode free if you want to watch the rest. Then you got it. And it was better than I thought. The Saved by the Bell was better than I thought. It was because it was kind of mockumentary style where they were kind of making fun of how ridiculous Bayside was. It was like the current set was making fun of like that school.
And how could you not like Mark Paul Gosselaar being
come back as Zach Morris, who's still trash.
Yeah, and he's the governor.
What? They got to do that. Come on. Come on, Funny or Die. Governor Zach Morris is trash. It writes itself, man. I got to do the new episodes, man. Come on. Governor Zach Morris is trash.
My question is, like, who would have voted for Will? We saw it with
Donald Trump won.
Well, that's what the former. Well, let me use the former president we had. Well, let me rephrase that. I was like, who would vote for?
I can actually see Mark Paul Gosselaar becoming governor, not just Zach Morris.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor.
The governor Schwarzenegger. Jesse Ventura was a
governor.
Jesse
Ventura.
The body.
So I mean, but yeah, Punky is back because I saw the trailer and it's her. Cherie Johnson is back.
They brought the original. I think I saw Cherie as a podcast and she mentioned something about that. And you think people are talking shit, so they actually did it because Cherie got a podcast and she mentioned something about we could be down for a reboot.
Because I think that they're really good friends in real life. Like her and Soleil Moon Frye are good friends.
Yeah, I think Cherie on her podcast was talking about a Punky Brewster reboot.
And it's basically following Punky. Like she's recently divorced and she has 3 kids, I think. And then she meets a child who needs to be adopted or something. So it's
you got to have the whole orphan thing.
So I think it's like that's what it is. But like now she's still trying to navigate her newly single life. And her ex-husband is Freddie Prinze Jr. is her ex-husband.
Okay.
So like he's in there, and I think that they get complicated because it's like she still has feelings for him, and so it's like it's like basically exploring that like a recently divorced, but I'm trying to navigate my newly single life with raising these kids, and then I meet this other kid, and then my ex-husband is still in the background, so it's just kind of like that's what it is. But I mean, it sounds interesting. I mean, I did enjoy Punky Brewster as a kid. I enjoyed watching Punky Power, like who didn't?
And they even that show actually was huge because they even had his own cartoon series. A lot of people don't know if you remember that. Punky Brewster had an animated series too. That's how big the show was. Anytime you get created in animated form, you're huge. Yeah. Like the show actually did. It wasn't just the sitcom. They actually did a Saturday morning cartoon version of that show too. That's how big Punky Brewster was.
Yeah,
I wasn't a big Punky Brewster fan like that, but I do remember it had a fucking cartoon. Like I was like, I know I didn't imagine that.
I remember in the 90s, like when they had it in syndication, like we would come home from school and we would watch it because they had it in syndication. So I would like Hurry home.
Yeah,
Then they would bring it back on.
I was definitely over it by then. I didn't even
I
watch
was
it
like
in the 80s, the original.
I was maybe like 10, 12 or whatever.
I kind of looked, but I wasn't a big Punky Brewster fan. I would look. Yeah. I was more of a Different Strokes, and like that was my show. I watched that. What else did I watch? Family Ties. I watched. What else? Trying to think of all the shows I watched. The sitcoms from the 80s that I was a fan of.
80s sitcoms.
Of course, the Cosby Show. We all watched that shit. It's like what else was on? Growing Pains. I watched that. Mr. Belvedere. Like I watched a lot of that shit back in the day. What else did I watch? Benson. My mom was more of a Benson fan. I used to look at it with her, but
Benson was bomb.
Mom watched Soap, so she would she got me into Benson.
Soap was hilarious. I got into Soap in the 90s when they did a marathon on Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Yes, and this show is hilarious.
That's where the Benson character came from. Yeah.
And Billy Crystal, like him playing Jody, like that, he was just hilarious. Which I said, I don't think that would get made today because
absolutely you can't have
the way
flamboyantly gay characters.
Yeah,
it's like Hollywood from Mannequin will be offensive now. Another 80s movie, Kim Cattrall and Mannequin.
Mannequin was awesomely bad. Like I need to make a list of like all my awesomely bad like movies / sitcoms.
Yeah, let's just go down this rabbit hole. Yeah, like just beyond the fucking dumb shit. Yeah, it's our podcast. We don't have to talk about current shit. We can do we do a whole episode just talking about dumb shit. I'm fine with that.
We need some lightheartedness. Like in the world, sometimes, like I mean, we'll
probably dip our toe in current events, but I'm having fun talking about Mannequin and Punky Brewster.
I keep on saying
and
we
Mr. Belvedere and dumb shit like that.
We start out in the middle of a pandemic, so I mean, it is a lot of emotional things that are going through people. So it's good to just laugh at silly stuff sometimes. It's because you will lose your sanity if you don't do it. You will be like, I don't like what here. Like no, just do something silly, do something stupid.
It's okay to make fun of vice versa and shit.
Wish I was an actor.
Comes full circle with starring George Reinhold and Fred Savage. And
Wonder Years.
starring Judge Reinhold, Fred Savage with a special appearance by Naima.
And I like Ariana. So now I'm about to watch it. I'm gonna show Ariana.
Like, who is that? You gonna blow her mind and shit. She's like, is that me? Like, I don't remember doing a movie.
Like, who's that, baby?
Like, it looks like me. I don't remember doing that.
I already got pictures of me when I was little. She's like, who's that? That's me. I'm like, no, that's mommy.
Because there's a scene at the Field Museum in front of the elephants, and if you look closely, you see Naeem. About 5 or 6 in that scene.
Looking like Ariana. Oh my gosh.
Let's just go down that rabbit hole, like movies we were in.
Wildcats.
Wildcats. It's a sport of kings. Better than diamond ring. Football.
Elliot English. And Elliot English was about 29 years
Woody
old.
Harrelson, Goldie Hawn. Who else is in that? Nipsey Russell and shit.
Nipsey Russell.
He played the principal, yeah. The Tin Man. He played the principal, the Tin Man from the Ring. Yeah. Who else was in that fucking movie? I named most of the big names, but I know Elliot English played one of the cheerleaders who was Aunt Helen from Aunt Helen from Jamie Foxx. Yeah. And Wesley Snipes. That's the first movie I actually saw Wesley in was that. I think that came out before Major League. I think Wildcats was the first thing I saw.
And then we saw him in the Bad video after that.
Yeah, which also came after Wildcats. Yeah. Wildcats was like 86. So it came
that kind of launched him. That kind of like projected him because it's like, okay, oh, that was the guy that was in Wildcats. Then we just started seeing Wesley Snipes. Then he was Neo Brown. Like,
no, just a few years after that, he's I never liked you anyway. Pretty motherfucker. You never know how. It's like 4 years after Wildcats. 5 years later, he's like crazy. You never know how close you are to fame. It's like just one of the players on the Wildcats team. What Wildcats was Goldie Hawn was the female coach that coached the boys football team. and they put her in the hood to try to break her. They put her in the inner city. They didn't send her to the nice the nice school district.
They sent her to Lincoln Park.
Yeah, they sent her to the hood. Yeah, it's like, and of course, they give her a hard time. It's like, especially like most of the players on the team who were black is like they go like, who's this skinny little white chick?
Skinny white girl. And then Goldie is like goofy. You know, she always is like, she was goofy. So.
But then eventually, she wins them over, and then the team actually becomes good because the team was horrible too. That's another thing. The team was trash, so like that's why they put her there too. Then the team actually they start catching on, and then eventually the final scene, which we were in, the big game at the end.
The thing that I remember about that scene, though, even though it was supposed to be
they filmed that shit in July, July or August
when they filmed that.
It was so
in Chicago.
Hot. You know, summertime shy. Y'all know summertime shy, man.
So it was probably like 90 degrees, and then we had to have all like
winter coats, scarves, hats, and like gloves. We like dressed like football champions. It was like fall. It was like November or whatever. Yeah,
we like this.
Go team.
But I remember that as a kid because I was small. Like I said, it was like 85, right, when they shot that.
I remember we fucked up. We sat on the wrong side. We sat on the loser side, so we were on the side of the of the good, the quote unquote good team.
The good team.
Underdog team was Goldie's team. We were on the other side. So had we got on that side, we probably would have got more camera time. Like we happened to sit on the wrong side.
On the wrong side. Yeah.
You know, high school football, like, well, you didn't have a high school team at Chaz, but yeah, the high school football, they do separate the sides. Yeah.
Right.
You got your home team and you got the road team. So they have like Kenwood and then like Hyde Park. Yeah, like they'd be on the opposite side.
Y'all rivalry was Hyde Park.
Mm-hmm. So I would have actually sat on the Hyde Park side by accident. That's what that would have been like. So we sat on the wrong side. I remember that about the scene that we all were on the wrong side. I was like, yeah, we should have sat over there. We could have got on camera more. You know, they had all.
Hot. I do remember that we were hot.
It was so hot that day too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was very hot. Mm-hmm. And then another movie was in Bueller.
Twist and shout scene, the parade scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all know the scene. Twist and shout, the twist and shout scene. That's which is probably the only scene that had black people in it, which is why they used us in that. Them John Hughes movies were white as hell. I'll give you that. I grew up watching all of those, but it wasn't a lot of us in those movies.
We were there to say damn shit in this whack.
But they joked about it, not another teen movie. I'm just a token black guy. Yeah.
We were there for coolness.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just we don't add anything. Like I said, I know we go a little bit off the rails or whatever, but it's our damn podcast. We were in this movie with Teen Wolf when they had when he was breakdancing and
I read an article about Teen Wolf. Is like actually Teen Wolf was him being a wolf was supposed to be like race. It's it was like a subtle race movie.
It was. So he found out he was half
wolf. And then when he finds out he's half wolf, he can play basketball now. He can break dance. It's all the white girls want to be with him now. The blonde, she's like, oh yeah.
I like you because you're a wolf.
Never been with a wolf before. Wink, wink.
So we know what.
And of course, the cocky bomb. He wasn't a blonde, but Zabka really should have played the bomb. He's like, yeah, stay away from her, you freak. Yeah, stick with your own kind. You know,
with your own kind. Which we've heard. It's Black History Month. It's February, so yeah. We should stick with your own kind.
Stay away from her, you freak. Yeah, basically.
But symbolism has always been like that in movies.
And then but he decides he doesn't want to be so through his grit and grind. With my whiteness, we can win this because he doesn't turn into the wolf at the end when they really need him in the championship game. He's like, we don't need the wolf. We can do this.
I can do
Go team, yeah.
Shoot it, fat boy.
Yeah, Francis and Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Flash, he played John Wayne Gacy in that movie.
Years later.
Years and years later.
This is way after Teen Wolf.
Yeah, way after. Because I was like, wait a minute, ain't that Francis where I saw the box come out? That Francis.
He was on an episode of Seinfeld. I'm trying to remember what that was. I don't remember which episode. I remember Francis was on there and I was breaking shit. I was like, that's
Francis.
Like probably like 10, 12 years after, like all that. So it was like in the 90s.
For no reason.
It's like he wasn't even like a main character. He was in like one scene, but it was Francis, definitely. I remember.
I love seeing that. Like my aha moment was when I was watching an episode of SVU, because I love Law and Order, one of the older episodes. And you know who was on it? He was playing a creep. It was Kevin's brother from Home Alone.
Okay.
The one who ate his pizza. I was like, wait a minute. I said, that's Buzz. I was like, that's Buzz. And like, that was my aha moment, because I'm like, what's Buzz doing there? It just ruined my childhood, because then he was like really like a creepy guy.
And actual creepy.
Right. I was like, this is ruining my childhood. Like Buzz wasn't like that at Home Alone. He was just a regular teenage boy. But then, now he's like a creepy guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is funny when you see actors who were like iconic in earlier works, and then they're just like.
Speaking of earlier works, let's go to my first movie, The Toughest Man in the World, a movie you probably never heard of. Me, you, and Feast, probably the only people in the world that know about what this movie is.
You see the face I made.
It wasn't even. I think it was like an after-school special. Damn, it wasn't even really.
It was an after-school.
It was like
special.
A made-for-TV. It was like that. It was like a 2-hour after-school special and shit, starring Mr. T, filmed here in Chicago. Like, Mom got us in the movie somehow, and I actually have some pretty good camera time in that one.
And Oz hit his mark. Billy Green and Oz actually stepped on the mark. And he hit his mark. Oz hit his mark
like that.
We found it at one point. It was streaming on Amazon.
It was on Amazon, and I watched it. They took it down. They hated on me. They took it down.
Marcus and I, we watched it. It was
up there for a while too, for about a year. That shit was streaming for like a while.
We found it because when you told me that, and then I went and I found it, and then Marcus was like, "Yeah, let's watch it." So then we watched it.
I showed Mom the shit too, because she hadn't seen it probably since the 80s. It's like. Oh, toughest man.
Wow. He was like us with it looking in the camera. He was like, wow, just wow. Like the way he was like staring at the camera. It was tremendous. Your acting was awesome.
My early acting days. I was probably like a little older than Ari when that shit came out. Like the early 80s.
Billy Green. It was an after school special.
Yeah, that shit. What's the fucking plot of that shit? I don't feel like breaking it.
Wasn't it like a youth center or something that he was
It's the Tirana Youth Center, yeah.
Youth center.
He had to get funding for his youth center because they were about to shut it down. And so they have this tough man contest come in. The first prize is like $100,000 or some shit like that. That would fund his youth center, obviously, yeah. So he enters and shit. He gets the help from the fucking neighborhood kids, like Billy Green is like the street kid. I don't feel like explaining the whole plot, but he's like a street kid that he saves and shit, like that he brings him in to like.
Terrible. Yeah. That's what the plot was. The movie was just terrible.
I probably could break it down. I just don't have time. The podcast is only an hour long. I start breaking that shit down. Like I'm all over the place trying to describe that.
And then the other movie you were in was Big Shots.
Darius McCrary and shit. But I was supposed to have a line in it, but the line got cut. I'm still in that shit. I'm wearing my members only jacket and everything. Yeah, you see me in that shit. I love that damn jacket.
Marcus and I found that too when we watched it. We watched Big Shots.
My members only jacket on. Like
this is the Oz special. We're going to find all the movies that Oz was in. We're going to watch all his work.
My 80s work when I was a kid.
That was terrible.
Another movie I don't remember the plot. Big Shots. Another one. They were in a fucking orphanage or some shit.
I know his name was Scam, and he was like a street hustler. Like he like ran numbers. And he was like a kid.
I'm assuming that the little white boy he was with was a runaway. I'm thinking that's how they met. I'm assuming he had to be a runaway or some shit like that. Because I don't see I know Scam was like the street tough, and then the other kid might have been a runaway, and then they were like working together and shit. And they found a fucking dead body at some point. It was like all over the place.
What? I'll watch it. I don't remember that now, like because we just
watched it like last year too. I don't remember.
We kind of tuned out of it. Like after we started, like okay, we were just watching basically to see your part. We was like,
same reason I watched Vice Versa. Vice Versa, I remember what that was about. That was like a Freaky Friday / what's the one, like father, like son. They did a lot of those movies back then where they basically like traded bodies. That happened a lot there. 18 Again was another one with George Burns. It was like where he like him and his grandson like swapped or whatever. He was like 80 and he swapped with his grandson who was like 18 or something. It was a bunch of those movies they did during that time and shit. But Vice Versa was the one with Fred Savage and Judge Reinhold. They were father and son. And he was like, it's a kid like doesn't know you don't know what it's like. He's like, yeah, well, like you don't know what it's like being like. I wish you could like see what it's like to be in my shoes. Like, and like they touched this weird fucking mystical thing or whatever.
Weird.
Some weird thing they were touching when they said that. I wish you could see what it's like to be me. I wish you could see what it's like to be in my shoes. And then they switch places and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So now Judge Reinhold got to go through puberty again and all of that shit, which sucks. I would hate to go back to being a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to go through all of that. And then on the flip side, you're like a 12-year-old, but you got to go like live in the real world as Fred Savage. You're a grown man, your father's body. You got to go to work and all of that shit. You got like.
I tell my kids was on the other side of adulting. I'm like, paying bills is on the other side of adulting. Going to work is on the other side of adulting.
I wouldn't trade it for that fucking kid.
I wouldn't trade for kids, but I mean, I just tell my kids like, enjoy your childhood while you can, because this is what's on the other side. You're only a kid for a short amount of time.
So I don't know what you, but my fucking teenage years sucked and shit. I would definitely not go back to that.
No, I wouldn't want to trade it back because like. I wouldn't want to trade it.
Bullying
back.
And trying to fit in and shit like
that. Like the popularity stuff and trying to, But like as you get older, you do realize that, like, it's funny that the older you get, like the less you care about fitting into stuff, because then you're
like when you're young, you want to fit in. When you get older, you want to stand out. Like
you want to stand out. So it's like
individual. It's like you want to stand out the older you get.
34 years old, you don't care about that shit. You're like, I'm me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I care about
be as unique as possible. There's only I'm one of a kind. Like ain't no duplicates of me and shit. Fuck that.
But as a kid, all you want to do is just fit in and be accepted, and you're looking and seeking.
Yeah, I don't want the kids to laugh at me. Like fuck the kids.
The Michael Jordan meme, fuck them kids. That's the first thought that went in my head.
Yeah.
Fuck these kids.
What the hell else are we talking about? Well, I definitely wouldn't want to go back to being a fucking kid, though.
More nostalgic stuff.
Let's do it.
Give me a break.
Give me a break. You're so deserving. Starring Nell Carter and
Rachel.
What? Yeah. Rachel was on. What's her real name? Selma Hopkins.
I couldn't think of her name. Selma Hopkins.
Yeah, she was on.
Rachel.
On Rachel and Mother Winslow were on. They both. That's where they
Mother
first.
Winslow.
She played Nell's mother and shit. Yeah, Rosetta Lynn-Wild. Was that the actress's name? I think. Yeah.
And then which one called Joey Lawrence is on there. He wore blackface.
Blackface.
He wore blackface.
I think he was the little cute one, and then Samantha was jealous. So, and then he was doing a performance at Nell's church, a very black church, of course. Yeah, so they say, it should be, you should do this, like, yeah.
So
he's like,
yeah, he's looking like Al Jolson in blackface with the gloves, with the white gloves, singing hide it, singing that or whatever.
I forgot what song he did sing a song. And of course, like they all appalled, like when he walks out, like in blackface. He was set up though, so you really couldn't put it on him. Like
blackface get made though in the '80s. So why are people still putting blackface and stuff in the '80s?
That they did it like to like address it, like so that
I know to address it.
During that time when they were like deleting it from the cartoons and all that, so they did it to like show how offensive it was. Because then Nell had the little speech. It's like, why'd you do that? Yeah, like say that what you think about me? So you had to the girl. So
the girl, yeah.
So you think I'm a digger? Like she's like, that's what you think of me? It's like. She's like, no, that's not what I think. It's like, well, like that's what that means. Like,
that's what that means.
That's how I look at it. Yeah, that you think of me like that.
That's what it means.
Mm-hmm.
But
Give Me a Break was about it was Nell was their maid, and the chief's wife died. So like she kind of like is a surrogate mother for him raising his 3 girls or something like that. Like that. That's how that happened. I don't remember how fucking Joey had probably another orphan story like Punky Brewster.
Yeah, like they always put like a cute kid on the show.
Yeah,
like after like the other
started getting older, then they had to like.
You're not cute anymore, so let's get this cute kid.
Yeah, let's add Joey with his little bowl cut. Yeah,
Joey had the best bowl cut.
Yeah,
he had the awesome. Whitaker had good bowl cut too. Mr. D, Sam, he had a good bowl cut.
Those that I grew up watching, Different Strokes. Let's go.
he had the ill bowl cut.
Another orphan story is Arnold and Willis's mother was
housekeeper.
The maid of Mr. Drummond's housekeeper. Like she was their housekeeper pre Mrs. Garrett. She was the housekeeper like before she started.
Yeah, off camera, she was the house when the show started. She was
like on her deathbed, she tasked Mr. Drummond like whatever happened, make sure my boys are taken care of because like her husband had already died. So like said, if I die, like so that's it. Like I don't want my make sure like I don't want to be split up because that happens. They split the kids up, you put them in the system.
Right.
So Mr. Drummond takes him into his house. They're like two kids from the hood from Harlem, and now they living on Park Avenue. They're like, okay, yeah. Well, Willis wasn't impressed, but like, Arnold. Willis was like, we going back to Harlem. Willis was
and then later he was like, Dad. Then later he said,
Willis was woke, and they changed it. Like Arnold, like he walked in, like, wow. Like Willis is like, this is all right.
Because it was like he had a penthouse on Park Avenue. Which in the 80s, like I said, we know how much it is now in this era, but in the 80s, like I said, we know how that money ran. Like Mr. Drummond had dough.
Mr. Drummond had his daughter Kimberly,
and he was a widower.
Yeah, he was a widower. So he's raising his teenager, and they have the maid, Mrs. Garrett. Kimberly was a student at the private school, which Mrs. Garrett ended up like getting a job there, becoming a house mother, which became Facts of Life. So that's how that tied in. Which introduced the world to Miss Tootie, Kim Fields.
And
on the later ones, a lot of us like.
I like Blair. It's like the bougie one.
Blair, yeah. And then Natalie is the big girl.
Yeah, it's like the fun one.
Joe from the rough one from the wrong side of the track.
Yeah. Who rode a motorcycle.
Yeah. Then they had a bunch of other girls early on, but that's the four ones anybody cared about.
Those are the main ones.
Blair, Tootie, Natalie, and Joe. It's like Mommy Wall was on the show for a minute. Nobody remembers her.
And Natalie got banged by George Clooney later. George Clooney.
That's supposed to be Blair, but then she had become born again in real life, so she didn't want
to. Uber religious. She became very religious, and she was like, "I'm not
having premarital sex." So Natalie was like, "I'll do it."
That was George Clooney, so
it was pre-ER George Clooney.
He had the mullet when he had the nice mullet when he was on Roseanne as like her as her boss or whatever. Remember he had the mullet, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he was on Roseanne, like her boss or something, like when they were working at some kind of factory or something, her and Jackie, and he had a mullet. The
boss I remember having was Martin Mull. Like he was like the undercover gay dude.
Oh yeah, Leon. Yeah.
I remember him. This must have been a different job she had, but
yeah, when she was working, she was doing like some type of like plant, like some type of stuff like that.
I remember working at the restaurant in
at the restaurant. Yeah, later.
You always asked him like, "Well, yeah, where's your girlfriend and all that?" And then they was gay, and they say, that's why we don't ever see him with a woman."
Leon was awesome. I liked the character of Leon. I liked how they wrote the character, like how they wrote it. I liked him
because he was gay, but he wasn't like stereotypical. His character, so.
Right?
What's some more shows? I don't know. Yeah, we just rambling now.
We just going for it now.
It don't matter. It might be the name. It might be the name. It's a lot of rambling. It might be the name.
A lot of rambling.
A lot of rambling.
We can move to the 90s. Perfect Strangers.
Okay, I wasn't a big basically Perfect Strangers is
it was like 80s. I'm sorry, because I did have
in the 80s. Yeah,
it started in the 80s and went to the 90s.
Basically, Surge, like if he got a sitcom, but it was the same.
Surge,
like Surge was like in it, yeah.
Surge from Beverly Hills Cop, so yeah.
But Lemon Twist, yeah.
Edge. Balky here.
Balky, we're basically the same character. Yeah. That was the same character. Surge was more of a douche, but it was like the same character.
And then And then that's where Jo Marie Payton got her start at.
Worked in Surge's building.
Yeah, she was there.
Surge's building. I don't even remember the other guy's name, but like Surge.
I don't remember either. I just remember Balky.
And I was calling him Surge. I forgot his name was Balky.
And then she was an elevator operator.
Harriet Winslow's elevator operator in Surge's building. But
then she got her. That's how Family Matters started because. She got in there. Reginald VelJohnson played Sergeant Al Power in Die Hard. So then
kind of the same character again. So Al Powell and Carl Winslow were like similar.
Yeah, they were parallels of each other. And so they
depending on what year you watched Family Matters, they had two or three children.
2 or 3 children.
And they didn't have a baby during. It wasn't like they wrote that storyline. So that's a whole nother mess right there. Like depending on what year you watched the show, they either had 2 or 3 children.
If you watch the early seasons, like up to like season 3, then I think season 3, Jamie Foxworth was gone. I think after season 3.
They fired. It might have been season 4. I don't remember.
3 or 4.
Our last episode, I think was when Mother Winslow gets married. I think that's the last time they show her.
She went upstairs to like be sent away, and then she just never came back downstairs. So they sent her upstairs for like. This is grown folks' business. Man, I never get to hear anything. It was like that type of thing. And she
like a whole trope that I don't know if you've been on the site TV tropes. There's a whole trope about that. What he talked. That's called Chuck Cunningham syndrome. Because the original show that did that was because people know Richie and Joni. They know the 2 Cunningham kids, but they had an older brother named Chuck who legit was sent upstairs, was never seen again. It's like I think after season 1, they basically just never mentioned what happened to Chuck. Like that's the first show that did. Once again, just very similar to Family Matters. It's like you had this one side character that got popular, so like that's what happened. Like Fonzie just caught on, just like Urkel caught on. So yeah, so like hi Chuck. It's like after Fonzie caught on. Okay, we don't have time for Chuck anymore. Just get rid of him. Just pretend he never happened.
Fonzie was the show. When you think about when you name characters from Happy Days, Fonzie is the number one answer.
Yeah. Well, Fonzie was supposed to just be like a minor character, yeah. Then he became the show. Yeah. Because like Henry Winkler played the hell out of that character. He became the show. But that's what happened. There's a character named Chuck Cunningham. They just what happened to Richie and Joni's older brother? Like he was just never mentioned again. Like he didn't die. He didn't get married. It's just like let's just pretend. We just have 2 kids now. Let's pretend he never happened. We just have 2 kids.
Like Eddie and Laura was like, yeah, we have this is our son Eddie and our daughter Laura.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Judy?
At least like on the Cosby Show, Denise was in Singapore. They didn't just say they didn't just never mention her again. They gave a reason why she wasn't there. At least when they fired Lisa Bonet, at least they did that on the Cosby.
She was in Singapore with her husband.
Mm-hmm. Really, she had been canned and shit in real life.
It's like halfway through that 7th season, it's like when she got wrote out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because isn't it because she did Angel Heart? Wasn't that why she got fired? Basically,
no. That's what originally caused the rift between her.
Yeah.
Because Lisa Bonet was the rebellious one, like in real life, like not the character in real life. She did Angel Heart. Like she got pregnant during the show. Like she did a lot of shit to push Bill Cosby's limits. Like she did all of that shit. When she first got pregnant, like Debbie Allen, when she was like the director and showrunner of A Different World. She was gonna write that into the story. She's like, okay, yeah, like how can I? And then Cosby was like, absolutely not.
He was like, no.
Lisa's pregnant. Denise is not.
Denise is not. Yeah,
absolutely not. He vetoed that because Debbie Allen was going to incorporate that. Okay, because it would be interesting a college student having
girls get pregnant in college, and they wrote that in later where they had the character. What's her name? What's her name? Lisa. What's her name? She was in The 5 Heartbeats, and she was in Bad Boys as Martin's wife.
Teresa Randall.
Teresa Randall, there you go.
Played Dresser's wife in The Heartbeats.
Yeah, I couldn't think of her name. Yeah. But they wrote that in because, remember, she was dating Ron, remember? And then
she had a baby, yeah.
She had a baby.
And then Ron was trying to play stepdaddy. She was like, you don't have to do this.
You don't have to do that. I had a baby. You don't have to.
He's not your responsibility. He's mine.
Ron was like, I don't want a little guy to just get left out. And Ron started getting really close to her kid and everything.
Because they were supposed to, I think, go to a concert or something. But the baby got sick. She was like, I can't go. It's like, yeah. So you say you go have fun. It's like, no, if you staying, I'm staying. It's like no, you don't have to go have fun. You don't have to do this.
As a parent, you realize that, like, I mean, when you have a child, your child is going to come first. So, like, anything, like, you could have planned for something months in advance, and then if your child is sick, you got to stay with your kid.
I think her son had a fever or something like that. She was like, he seems okay, but I just want to make sure. Like, I don't just go like parading around some concert. Like, he's like, but like, I just want to. I want to make sure he's good. So I'm gonna stay home. Yeah,
because he
might have been the Heavy D episode, Martha. I might have been the concert. That probably was the concert that Heavy D.
And he had been fussy anyway because he was teething. Because she was like, yeah, he's teething, so he was already fussy. And sometimes when kids are teething, they get sick. So it's like.
I think his temperature was running high. She was like, I'm just going to stick around just to monitor it. But you go have fun at the concert. He's like, well, I'm not going either then.
So like I said, they wrote it in later.
Yeah, but he just didn't want Lisa Bonet. He said, Huxtable can't be pregnant.
They even teased it with Kimberly Reese a little bit because when Kimberly Reese was
had
late.
the pregnancy scare.
She was late. And she had been having sex with her boyfriend a lot.
Because that's what caused a problem with her and Whitley. With putting the little scarf on the door. When the scarf's on the handle, you can't come in.
Can't come in because I have.
Was doing that all the time. So Whitley was like, "Yeah, this is my room. It's not." Because like dude was over there a lot.
It's like, and that's the thing about when you're in college and you have like roommates and stuff. It's like, I'm not saying that you can't have a boyfriend. Like, I mean, we're all technically adults, but. It's like
you experienced that, like you remember when
I experienced that. Oh, I did. That happened to me.
Move their boyfriends in and all
that. That happened to me 2 years in a row, and that's why my last years of school, like my last year and a half of college, I got my own apartment. I was like, I'm not doing this no more because it happened to me. I said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. It happened to me twice because like my sophomore year, a girl moved in, her boyfriend. Then the next year, I had a different set of roommates, and it still happened. Another girl moved her boy. I'm like, these girls just moving in these boyfriends.
But it's like, she had almost moved her boyfriend in on that episode.
Like, he's not paying nothing in here. Like, he's not contributing nothing in here.
Well, he's contributing, not money. Contributing the pipe.
So I mean, they did like tease her with Kimberly when she thought that she was pregnant.
Yeah, because like they had the earlier episodes they show like her and her boyfriend always hooking up, and then like they have her being late, like later on.
Yeah, a couple episodes later, then she's like panicked and stuff, and they're like, "Why are you so panicked?" And then she was like trying to figure out like my period is usually here on time, and it just wasn't.
It turns out it was just stress because she was like, like Kimberly was like the honor student. She worked at the pit, like she was doing too much. So like, so stress is what caused it.
She was on because she was in choir practice, she was in swim practice, she had a job
at the pit. She was a pre-med, so like
there's a lot.
She had a lot going on,
a lot on her plate. And I like to see when Mary Alice yelled at her, "You teenager!" When Mary Alice told her off.
She gave her the and they show Sinbad talking to the boyfriend. It's like, hey, strap up, bro. Like, hey, basically, It's like, hey, man, I'm not telling you not to do it, but just strap up, bro.
Just be more conscientious about that, because if you do become, like, obviously, if you become a teen parent, then it's like your resources aren't. Like, what resources do you really have? So, a lot of it, you're going to lean on your parents. You're going to lean on your parents.
And especially at that age, you don't know what your future holds. Because, like, let's look at what happened on that show. Like, they didn't show that boyfriend too much after that. So, like, now you got a baby with this guy that you're not even with anymore. She's like, yeah. Hey, it's like when you're young, like you date a lot of people. Yeah, you haven't found your forever at that age.
What was his name? Robert, I think.
I don't remember
his name. Because
that might have been his last episode. So like,
I remember when they wrote him out, and I think like they had broken up because I think that he was trying to be like we cool. I think that's where it was. Is that he was trying to be more carefree with the relationship, and she was like, okay, bye. She was just kind of like, okay, and then he got written out, and then that's when they started Kimberly like with Matthew and
Matthew, and then Ron. And then Spencer, like she had They did a lot of weird shit with
I didn't like the Ron storyline with her.
I didn't like the Spencer storyline because the character sucked. And shit.
I actually like Matthew. I actually like the character Matthew with her because the reason why I like this because he was like a goofball, so like he balanced her out because like
he
Kim
took life too serious. He was like he was an artsy. I think he was an acting student or something like that.
Yeah, he was like he was like he didn't take himself seriously. Like he was a goofball, and like Kim just was like, you're just so like you're so carefree and just so you're not serious about nothing. He's like, well, you're too serious. So I like their dynamic of him balancing her out, like making her more carefree.
Let's address the elephant in the room. He was white.
He was white. I know that's why people didn't like him because he was white. I said
that's why that storyline was dropped because
he was white.
The brothers wasn't feeling that at the time. They like get rid of that dude, like because he only lasted a season, and then after his character was dropped, they never showed or mentioned Matthew.
Yeah. And then he had like a thing where he could have always been mentioned because he was Freddie's cousin.
Yeah, so like yes, they didn't have to get rid of the character, but it was too much backlash. So
he had connection. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like he was just like a random white guy that was Freddie's cousin. So it's like.
But yeah, the character was dropped after one season, and then that was it. And let's talk about characters like weird stuff. Like, you want to talk about Colonel Taylor's family? I have a theory that Colonel Taylor was like whacking his family members.
Yeah, he was like, what did he do? He was in Nam, right? I think he was in Vietnam.
Yeah, he was. I think Vietnam. Yeah.
I think he was in
When the show starts, like we don't know what happened to Colonel Taylor's first wife. It's just like it'll start there. They just say that she allegedly was living in Germany, but they never proved that or not. That's just that was his story.
Germany.
That was his story and shit. What he said. Yeah, my ex-wife's in Germany now. And then he had two kids. He had a daughter, Suzanne, a son, Terrence. Yeah.
Who dated Dwayne Wayne for a little bit.
Early on, like in season 2 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Then she's never mentioned after season 2, so that's 2 family members that just disappeared without a trace. And then Terrence shows up around season 3 or 4.
Yeah,
he shows up.
Goofy Cuz, that's what we call him, Goofy Cuz. Mm-hmm. He
sticks around like pretty much like from like season 3 to like season 5. He's on the show for a while and shit.
Yeah, he is.
And then during season 5, the Colonel marries Jaleesa. And they have a baby. So now he has a wife and 2 kids.
I'm not even sure did they have a girl or a boy?
I don't even remember what the what Jaleesa and Colonel's kid was. And then the final season is like no Terrence, no Jaleesa, no baby. Okay. And none of those characters are mentioned either. I don't think. They might have mentioned the baby one time. They had that stupid baby monitor.
The baby monitor, yeah, they mentioned the baby.
That could have just like Colonel Taylor could have been carrying the monitor as
where the digital guy was like digital.
That last season of Different World was so bad, man. Let's talk about that last season.
Well, first of all, Boyz II Men say the intro, and the intro was awful.
Yeah, the New Jack Swing intro.
I know my parents love
for some reason, they decided Aretha Franklin wasn't good enough anymore. We got to upgrade it, with Boyz II Men doing a New Jack Swing.
It's a different world, bop, bop, bop. It was like that.
Teddy Riley that intro on shit, basically.
Yeah, it was awful. And then, like, Whitley and Dwayne are trying to navigate their lives as like
because the last episode of the previous season is they get married to Byron and all of that. So so now it's like their life is like newlyweds trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Dwayne is a professor and he's in grad school.
Mm-hmm. Because he turned down the Konnichiwa job, which he accepted. For Terrence, who's a Colonel murdered. Let's finish that before we go into the season. I have a theory that the Colonel murdered all of them because he had PTSD. He took out all of his family members. That's my theory. Because they all just disappeared one by one.
And then
his wife and new baby. Well, I wouldn't see them anymore after that.
And then Ron owned the jazz club on the last season.
Yeah, let's get back to this horrible last
he owned the jazz club.
A lot of dumb shit. Let's get back. Yeah, started with the Dwayne Whitley stuff was pretty good. Like you said, like new couple trying to figure it out. Dwayne's teaching. He's also because a grad student as an engineer, which he does take the Konnichiwa job at the end of the finals, at the end of this season. We'll get to that.
Whitley loses her job as an art thing, and then she has to go substitute teach.
Becomes a teacher at Hillman. They gotta find ways to keep these old characters hanging around. Like that's the problem with school.
Yeah, she has to substitute teach at like a school that's in the.
You want to because theoretically you could write the characters out, but yeah, nobody wants to see fucking Digit Hole and
Charmaine was on
and Lena. Like nobody cares about those kids. People want to see Dwayne, Whitley, Ron, Kim. You want to see the characters you know and shit. Yeah.
And then Freddie is becomes a lawyer.
She was a law. Kimberly Reese was and I think she was dorm director too. I saw they kept her at the fucking dorm. She's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And still, was she still at the pit? I think Lena and them were at the pit by then. Kim might have not. Kim probably was still hanging around the pit for some reason. They did shit like that. I know Lena had got a job there, or Charmaine, one of them. I don't know.
Both of them. Yeah. Both of them were working.
Okay, yeah. Kim probably still worked there too. Shit. It's a way to show. She worked the pit for like 7 years, like that. He did that.
Mr. Gang still ran the pit.
Oh goodness. And then Iran was like so convoluted what they did with him. He was like a couple of seasons before that they decided to just make Ron a musician like out of nowhere. They never it was like it was hastily, and haste was costly and shit. Hastily put together and shit. Like before, like early on, they didn't say what Ron was doing. He was just there. They really never gave him a major or whatever.
Yeah, he was just kind of like he was LAS lost and searching. That's what.
Then around season 4, he's just a drummer all of a sudden, like and that's what he's pursuing and shit. Yeah. And so he has a band. The band breaks up, and then Ron's like basically mooching off Dwayne for a while. He's a bum and shit. Yeah, they run that story. And then another thing, somehow Mr. Gaines like not only just owns the pit, like he also owned the fucking nightclub all of a sudden that Ron ran. They never explained like where this club came from. It's wanted to like he wanted to make it bad for Ron and shit. So like so let's.
But like we always say, everybody isn't going to have a successful ending. Like I know, like on shows and movies, sometimes they make.
Well, that's how Hollywood works. That everybody has a happy ending, but in real life, we know losers. Like that happens.
Wrapped in a bow.
Yeah.
Some people ain't going to have the happy ending.
Yeah, Ron could just be a lost. He could just be lost and shit. Like figuring it out. Have Ron figure it out. Like you don't have to run a successful nightclub out of nowhere.
And then he had something that he could have done. Like he could have always went back home because his father was like a
car dealer. That was like his plan. That's why he went to college originally. They said because he can take some business classes.
Yeah, learn to
take over the family business. But then they decided to drop that and make him a musician for some reason.
Mm-hmm. So he had an asset that he could always have gone to. Like, okay, I can just go work for my daddy. Yeah. Well, my daddy knows people. Because, like, Ron was, like, in a circle where, like, okay, his father hung out with other entrepreneurs. So it's like, even if Ron didn't do the car thing, like, yeah, his dad might know somebody who owns, like, restaurants, like barbecue restaurants or whatever. Like, okay, give my son a job. Ron had those connections. So, but being a nightclub owner, that was kind of.
Yeah, that was hokey and shit.
Then they had guests on there every week. That's how you knew the show was about to be canceled because they had
Chris Cross,
in Vogue,
Tupac and shit was on there. They did a lot of that shit on the
which never aired, but people try to say it didn't air. It was
claim they remember that episode airing his original run. No, you didn't.
No, it was
it never aired. Yeah, because like what happened with Different World, its final season, they went on hiatus at some point. I don't remember when or why. Might have been like during the holiday break. Mm-hmm. The show was like off the air for months and shit. Mm-hmm. Then they brought him back for their finale like in May. It's like, Different World, the final episode, 2-part episode, the final episode.
Yeah, when Willie and Dwayne were back.
They had all those fucking episodes that they filmed like that was supposed to air like in January, February, like all of that shit. Yeah. And so they aired those, like, they started airing some of them during the summer, but then the show was canceled. They said, you know what, nobody cares. So they pulled it after, like, and one of the episodes that didn't air was the Tupac episode.
The Tupac?
If you saw it in syndication. You didn't see it during its original run. It aired in syndication, like, on TV One and, like, wherever they syndicate these shows that, like, you saw it there, but, like, you say you saw it in the 90s, like, never aired.
And then they had Billy D. Williams on there.
Billy D. Williams. They did a lot of silly shit. Yeah,
that was supposed to be a pilot. That's what I got out of Billy D. Williams. Like, I'm sure they were trying to give him a pilot.
Mm. And wasn't Kizzy and shit on that? Yeah.
Leslie Uggams was like his old, because she was like the professor, and then like he like dated her back in the day or something, and she ended up marrying somebody else. But then I think that she was either divorced or widowed or something like that. And then like he was looking
he bought her a Colt 45. That's how it should have ended. Because a nice cold Colt 45 does.
You said, wasn't Kizzy on there?
Kizzy, I remember that. Yeah.
Leslie Uggams. So I mean, it was just awful. But
who also played Lucius's mama on Empire, Kizzy.
Who also was the blind lady in Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. She's still getting her checks.
Yeah, because I was like, ain't that Kizzy? I was watching Deadpool.
Fire and shit. She's still.
She watching Deadpool.
Yeah, they did a lot of silly shit. Who the fuck was In Vogue? I don't remember what they did. I remember them being. I know Crisscross was like these two gang kids that didn't like each other.
They were on opposite gangs. Like, yeah. I'm from block 9. I'm from block 12. What you got? What you got? It was like that. That's what the Crisscross thing was. They were rival gang members. And then they united at the end of the episode, and then they rapped.
Like, yeah, you want to just shoot him because he wears a different color. They played that whole thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Why do you want to shoot this man down? Because he's a different color. He wear a different color than you. Mm. And then Vogue's name was Ronnie, an actor, whatever.
For his crappy nightclub, okay.
Yeah, for his crappy nightclub. And Vogue was like somebody's nieces or somebody. So, of course, when they brought them out.
Like Aunt Altoona.
Yeah, they were somebody. They were
from Altoona on Family Matters.
Yeah.
Which was Donna Summer, yeah.
Donna Summer, yeah.
Altoona from Altoona.
They may have been Mr. Gaines' niece. They was the or his
wife. It had to be Mr. Gaines' niece.
It was somebody. I think it may have been his wife. I think that may have been because his wife was BB Cook. I think that may have been her family or something. Or something like that, yeah. And then, of course, when they bring them out, of course, in Vogue, they're all beautiful ladies, but of course, like, when they had them out, they were like with the cat-eye glasses.
Like country bumpkins or something.
They were like country bumpkins who like looked nerdy. And they was like, oh, yeah, we sing. And then when they came out,
we sang. It probably was like that. Probably was some.
And they were doing, like, they could.
They were some Bama-ass bras, I'm sure. That's how they wrote it.
They were doing, like, they were singing, but they were doing, like, the, like, almost like the sha-la-la-ooh. They were almost, like, doing that where they were doing, like, harmonies like that, kind of like. Mm-hmm. And Ron was like, this isn't, like, what I was looking for from our group. Yeah. And then later, at the end of the episode, they sang the "Free Your Mind" song. The "I Wear Tight Clothing"
from the Funky Divas album.
Yeah, they sang that song. And then they came dressed in their nice.
Probably their single at that. That was the single they had out at that time.
Yeah, and then they wore like their sexy outfit, but they still had on like the glasses, like the nerdy glasses, and then they had.
Should have did it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never. They should have did that.
Yeah, but. When you have like people guest starring every week, it's like your show.
It sounds like Aunt Una from Altoona.
Pretty much.
Urkel's nerdy cousins, Donna Summer.
And she was like,
she talked like this and then, but then when she sang, she sounded like Donna Summer and shit. She was Michelle A. Like they ripped off Michelle A. Ripped off Michelle A.
And later, Michelle A. crossed so Fantasia could walk. Because Fantasia has that too.
Okay.
See you dancing. This is fun. Yeah. It is good to just kind of like just talk about like memorable things that have happened.
Yeah, it's like we can ramble every now and then.
Then some other shows like
let's keep going. Keep going.
We didn't even go down. So we could go down the rabbit hole a little more. Yeah, I said speaking of shows that
we're gonna get to some bad shows too. I can't wait. Go ahead.
We do shows that just changed for no reason. Like my favorite one that just changed was In the House. It started off as Debbie Allen.
That was a mess, man.
It started off with Debbie Allen being a recently divorced mom with 2 kids, Austin and Tiffany. She had 2 children.
And LL Cool J's character, he's an out-of-work football player. He got too much house and shit. So
yeah, he's an out-of-work football
player. This mother and her 2 kids into his house.
And it was like basically kind of like an odd couple type thing because that's what it was kind of going for. Because it was like, okay, I was a football player. I'm a bachelor. I think
he got injured or something. It's like that's how the character went. So
yeah, he got injured.
And like as we all know, NFL contracts are not guaranteed. So like he wasn't getting no checks in. So like so he can't pay that mortgage on that big ass house he got.
Yeah. And then she was getting like her alimony or child support, whatever. And then she had a job, so she was able to afford the rent that he was charging her. And then of course, like the kids like him because he's young and cool. Mm-hmm. Like Tiffany and Austin liked him because like Marion was young and cool and he was hip. Then for whatever reason, then season 2, Debbie Allen and her son are gone.
I don't think either character is ever mentioned again either.
And then Tiffany is there living with like how inappropriate.
Oh, man,
it's like a 15-year-old girl living like with a 30-year-old man. Mm-hmm. R. Kelly, I'm not trying to like.
She has her crew and shit, which Ken L was part of and shit.
And the girl who was she was Deirdre on the college. She was Bud's girlfriend.
Okay. Didn't she go on the porn years later?
Yeah, porn later. Yeah, she did.
Also, a girl from Different World did porn too. A lot of them did porn during it, and Family Matters. Like a lot of them did porn during it. All these shows we mentioned, somebody ended up doing porn years later.
And then she has her crew, and then they're always hanging out. Then later they introduce Kim Wayans, and like at first she's a stalker of him.
I remember how they introduced her character. Like LL Cool J's character went out with Robin Givens, and she was her crazy cousin, Kim Wayans.
Ah, okay, that's how it was. Okay.
I think Robin Givens' character, once again, never mentioned again.
But then they wrote it to be like Tonya was like she knew him back in the day, like that was like his homie. Because at first she was like his stalker. Then they changed her character where like she was like they were childhood friends. Like a la like how like recipe like me and Justin were like childhood friends. Then they were like childhood friends. Baby. Right. Then they were like childhood friends later who like grew up together.
Didn't they run a fucking gym later and shit too? Or did I imagine? Did I imagine
then
that?
Then they brought in Alfonso Ribeiro.
It wasn't Lark Voorhees on
it. Yeah.
That show's a mess, man.
Then they brought in Alfonso
Ribeiro. Carlton Banks and Lisa Turtle.
And then they brought in Lisa Turtle.
Like it sounds made up. All this shit really happened. LL Cool J, fucking Tiffany, Kim Wayans, Carlton Banks, and Lisa Turtle. This shit really happened. It was a real show and shit. Yeah.
It was bad. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember how it even ended. I don't remember how it ended.
I don't remember how they got to the fucking gym and shit. It was just they just ran a gym. It's like I don't remember how they got there.
I think LL Cool J got money or something. He got money from something.
He got his settlement from his injury. I don't know.
And then they brought in Carlton because I think his name was Maximilian. I want to say that was his name, Maximilian. So then they brought him in because he was like his silent partner. That's how, because like obviously the money that LL Cool J didn't have wasn't enough. So then he had to have a partner in there. Alfonso Ribeiro's character was supposed to be like his silent partner because he wanted to run like a facility. And I remember Alfonso Ribeiro's character was a doctor. So he was a doctor. So like they were combining like my knowledge of like sports and like, doing that. So they were like doing like a
sports medicine. Okay.
Like sports medicine. That's where it was that they were doing. That's where it was that they ran a sports medicine clinic or whatever. And then whatchamacallit was his wife later. Lark Voorhees was
Lisa Turtle.
Was Alfonso Ribeiro's wife. And
who the fuck? Why was Kim Wayans there? Did she work at the gym and shit? I don't know.
She worked there.
Okay.
She was a trainer, I think.
Tiffany worked there too. I don't remember.
I remember later Tiffany was that they brought in Mel Jackson and she was dating Mel Jackson.
I don't remember that at all.
And then the show got canceled. Like we always say, Mel Jackson gets shows canceled.
Exactly. He's like the original Ray J and shit. Who he shows up on your show, the end is near and shit.
Because they brought him in, and then she started dating him. And yeah, Mel Jackson happened 3 times because
I don't remember that at all. I remember Living Single, that, and what else?
Parkers. He was on the Parkers.
He was on the final episode of the Parkers, right? I forgot.
So when Mel Jackson shows up, you about to, we had a good run.
Talk about some more crappy shows. Let's talk about another show that was all over the place just like that. Like Malcolm and Eddie's another show they didn't know what the fuck it was.
Gosh.
Eddie is a tow truck driver now, is running a nightclub. How do we get there? And shit?
The 50-50 nightclub. Well, like I guess maybe that's what Jay-Z got his inspiration for 40-40 from that.
Hope he didn't get his inspiration from that. We should copy that In the House show. Not In the House. Fuck it. We copy that in the house. It's In the House. I don't care. We should copy that In the House show and shit. They both.
Malcolm and Eddie was horrible. How they just because he was a tow truck driver and Malcolm worked at the bar at McGee's. He worked at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it was something else because his name was Malcolm McGee, right? Yeah, and then the barber's name, so there was
it was a bar before it became McGee's. Like there was something.
Yeah, it was O'Reilly's. I remember the girl Holly worked there, the girl that he liked.
What was her name?
I forgot her name.
I remember what she looked like. I can't think of her name.
Yeah, she was the one that was in The Brothers that got thrown through the table.
Charmaine worked there. I remember that shit too, didn't she? Was she a cop? Was she a cop or did she work there? I don't fucking remember.
No, first she was a meter maid. That's what she was first. She was a meter maid, and then she decided she wanted to go into the police academy. And she was supposed to be going to the police academy, and then she became a waitress for the club. Because she was in the police academy, and then she became a waitress.
Eddie just sold his tow truck so he could work there too.
And then he worked there. The best episode though was when he played Prince.
That guy and shit too was always there too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jamie Cartwright. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the best episode was when he did Prince. Like bar none, Eddie Griffin doing Prince, that was hilarious. That shit was hilarious.
Eddie was good. He had a good Prince and a good Michael Jackson. Like he's one of the rare people that could pull off both of those characters.
Because he did like Prince in there, but he like an ugly ass Prince. So he was like, he's having a rough year. Like Prince looks a little off about him. Like he's having a rough year. He did like Prince, but like just an ugly version of Prince. That's what he looked like.
What about Sparks? Let's talk about that. Starring Uncle Phil, who ran a law firm. Joanna Man is there. Lucius Lyon, Robin Givens,
and Kim Whitley.
Kim Whitley is there. It's like all over the place. Wasn't Joanna Man and Lucius his two sons and shit?
Yeah, those were his sons. So basically, he was basically Philip Banks again because he was a lawyer and he ran like a law firm. And then
ran Will and Carlton. One was nerdy, one was an asshole. They were Will and Carlton.
He ran it with his sons, who was Lucius and Joanna Man, as you say. Lucius and Joanna Man. And then Robin Givens got added on later, I guess, for like sexiness or whatever.
I can't.
And then, of course, like Miguel Nunez was trying to holler.
Kim Whitley, like the fucking secretary or some shit.
Yeah, Kim Whitley was the secretary. Okay. Yeah.
Joanna Man tries to holler, but he gets nowhere. Sure,
he keeps on shooting his shot, and then she keeps on shooting him down.
He gets nowhere and shit. Like that's like a trope on the show.
But that's a show that no one remembers. Like unless you were out in the 90s, like
you're not finding Sparks streaming nowhere.
It's not streaming nowhere. You can't find it. It's not on BET. It's not on BET Plus. It's nowhere. Unless you just watch it when it was in its original run.
Well, what about Homeboys in Outer Space with Ron Johnson and Flex? Let's go, man.
And what's her name? LaQuisha, the computer.
The computer, Rat.
And then
Paulette Braxton with that sexy ass outfit and shit.
Mama. So her name Mama. And she wore
tight ass outfit and shit. Yeah.
She wore like a dominatrix outfit. Mm-hmm. She was like a cyborg or something. What is she like a cyborg? It's like a sexy cyborg or something. I remember when Flex would try to holler at her and then she would always like twist his arm back and like fuck him up or something. He'd be screaming like a bitch. And
didn't the fucking computer chick try to holler at Ron Johnson? I don't remember.
I think so. I know her name was LaQuisha.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a ghetto computer.
They were doing a lot of that in the 90s. She was like what Miss Sita was on.
Yeah, Miss Sita.
It's like the same concept pretty much and shit. A cyborg, a virtual hood rat and shit. It's like character was the virtual hood.
Because she was like that. She was, yeah. So it was just really, it was a lot going on.
Another show that barely lasted a season. It's like Sparks.
It was awful.
Some more like short-lived crappy shows.
Yeah.
Thea Vidal. Was she widowed and she worked like 2 jobs?
I've been working hard. 2 jobs every day.
2 jobs every day.
A lot to my children, showing them the way. With God on my
Jason
side.
Weaver, Adam Jeffries, and some other little Negro.
Some other little boy. Yeah. And then whatchamacallit was
probably, let's just make some shit up. It was Orlando Brown was the youngest kid. It should have been him or something like that.
Whatchamacallit was on there too. Yvette Wilson was her sister.
Yeah,
sister.
Janet Jackson from Friday and shit.
And then the guy, it was like, I forgot what his name was. Like he was her boyfriend. Her husband was Yvette Wilson's guy. The other guy that was on there. I can't think of his name, but he was
Ryan Brooks. I'm just making shit up.
No. He was like some hectic. I think Marcus said he was a comedian. The guy was a comedian.
I don't even remember that. It was J. Anthony Brown. That would be hilarious. No. Watch out there now. I can say that J. Anthony Brown was on Thea and people would believe me. Nobody watched that show. You can literally make
Thea was bad. It was bad. The acting was horrible. It was not a good show.
That was Brandy's first. That's when Mike Love first didn't like Brandy on that. Mike Love cannot stand Brandy Norwood.
His nemesis.
She must have been a bitch on Bad Boy Radio back in the day. I don't know what that is. She stopped by the studio. She was an asshole. I don't know.
Jason Weaver. Jason Weaver. That's Chi-Town. We support Jason Weaver here. That's Chi-Town right there. How you made that face? He is Chi-Town. It's Chi-Town.
We support him.
You know you listen to Love Ambition. You know you was rocking Love Ambition. Don't lie.
You must got confused with yourself and shit.
Don't know why. Love Ambition. Did you say Thea Vidal was on Raw? You said
play Shelton Benjamin's mama for all my wrestling fans.
Yeah, right. And you said that you were wondering how many people actually thought that was his real mom.
His mom was there, and all of us were like, "That's Thea Vidal."
You said she walked out.
We started Leon, and we all started calling each other like Thea Vidal is on Raw. We all started calling each other. Yeah.
Jerome. That was terrible.
It's another crappy show from the 90s that didn't last long. I want shows that last one season like that and shit. Yeah.
Where I Live, Dougie Doug.
Dougie Doug, Flax, another guy. Flax got a nice little streak of killing shows before one-on-one and shit.
What's it? Whatchamacallit? Doctor, the one with the beard from the Cosby Show.
Yeah, the one he was playing K-Tonk with. Yeah,
yeah. The one he was doing the Bandajat 500.
And they were playing the fucking game out the play.
Pinochle, yeah.
Whatever it was. What else?
I forgot what his name is, but he's
Dougie Doug was the star of that show. I know that.
Yeah, Dougie Doug was the son. Yanaka Doyle was on there. She was his sister.
Yanaka Doyle.
Yanaka Doyle.
This is a name for if you weren't around tonight, you'd have no idea who the fuck that was. Those perfect names from the 90s. Oh, I got one for you. Getting By and shit. Goddamn.
You know why I watch it? Rest in peace. My bae was on there. I love me some Merlin Santana. That was my crush. That was my 90s crush.
Aunt Rachel.
That was my bae.
Romeo from Steve Harvey. Kenny from the Cosby Show. Shirley from Laverne Shirley, and then some fucking teenage daughter she had.
Some other kids. Getting By, that show was awful.
That's the show. They were I think both widowed and shit, and they moved
divorced
or whatever. I know they both were single moms and shit.
They were both single moms, and they were trying to
with teenage kids and shit.
And they moved in together to try to offset the cost because, as we know, if you're a single parent trying to raise two children on your own, it can get to be expensive. So they say, okay, well, let's merge our money together and let's get this place together. And of course,
once again, let's do the race thing too. One was white, one was black. It's
mm-hmm. And then the son's showing yeah, we listen to hip hop parade. Oh, hey, they trying to show
them going, and she's oh,
she's what is that? Basically, so it's supposed to be for hilarity with that, doing they did a lot of the race things like that. Mm-hmm. True Colors was another one where it was the interracial family. Adam Jeffries. There's another name. Adam Jeffries again.
Claude Brooks. I don't remember who played the mom and shit.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't fucking. She had a teenage daughter too, because that's a blended family. That's what.
Yeah, but they were an interracial couple. Yeah, so like they got married.
They both have teenage kids. It's like
Right.
I think he had the 2 boys and she had 1 daughter. I think that's how it went. I think they get married. So now it's like different strokes. But if Mr. Drummond had married a black wife, that's like that. That's what the show is like basically. If he had married and then her 2 boys move in and then like the clash and all of that. That's
clash of the cultures merging.
That's what True Colors was like. If Mr. Drummond had remarried, but with a black wife with sons and shit.
True Colors.
That was a pretty good one, kid.
It came on Fox. I remember that. It came on Fox. What the call it was another show. For Your Love with Holly Robinson Pete.
Tamala Jones, right?
Tamala Jones, E. Daffy Blackman, James Leisure, yeah, James Leisure.
Dee Pfeiffer, Michelle Pfeiffer's sister was on that shit.
And the guy, wasn't he Dave on the Hughleys later? I think.
No, that was 2 different shows.
That was a different actor, man. I thought the actor who was on there was
2 different actors.
Oh, it was.
I don't remember who played the guy on that show. Another show that nobody remembers, the Hughleys and shit.
The Hughleys. Which we'll call it. What's her name? Elise Neal here. Mm-hmm. Elise Neal had a nice little, that she was on. Bobby Is My Son. What's the name of that show? All of us.
Right, Lisa Ray and Dwayne Martin and shit. It's loosely based on Will and Jada Smith.
Entanglements. That's a show I would watch. Entanglements. Like, let's make that a show.
Entanglement. Let's bring what's the name of Elise Neal back with a young guy. Let's go, man. Do the show back. Do it over again.
Entanglement.
Do a reboot of All of Us, but just call it Entanglement. Bring the same characters back and said, Lisa Ray, all of them should be on the show again. Dwayne Martin says Entanglement.
Entanglement with August. Entanglement. I know the Entanglement they should have Kofi because he could be Entanglements.
Somebody like younger though and shit. Yeah.
He's only like 24. Kofi. He's 24.
I don't know how old was August, so he probably was about that age when they
had Kofi's like 24. Yeah.
August seems like younger than that. Like Kofi seems older than August.
He's older, but he's young. He's like 24. He's very young.
Or somebody like a baby face and all of that. That's who I would cast.
You're like little Bow Wow did like 10 years ago, looking like that, basically.
Looking like Chris Brown when he made it, Yo, Excuse Me, Miss. Looks like that.
Give me, looking like that.
Run it, Chris Brown, damn it. That's dumb. Let's wrap this shit up. We've gone long and shit. Yeah.
All of us ended.
We're gonna end it with this and shit, like a show that nobody remembers. This the one's gonna end it. Who in the hell left the gate open?
Sean Marcus Chapman.
Michael Collier and fucking Rachel.
And Marcus Chapman said he has episodes.
I don't remember the name of that show. I know it lasted like a season. Michael Collier quit like halfway through it and shit.
And Flex showed up.
Flex was one of the guest hosts they had on Who in the Hell Left the Gate.
Flex.
Fucking another show Flex killed. Flex killed a lot of shows. Like I said before, for a flat app, he killed a lot of shows.
And let's not forget he did the Michael Jackson movie.
The worst biopic of all time.
Never forget he did the Michael Jackson movie.
That's up there. Like it. Yeah. Let's wrap it up on Flex. Another damn podcast. We're gonna wrap this damn thing up. You like what we're doing with the rambling and silly shit like this? If you like more of this, let us know by hitting us on our Facebook fan page.
Yes.
Right there. Also subscribe, share, rate, review on all your podcast platforms. I'm talking about Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, SoundCloud, iHeart, TLC Talk Radio. What up, Tasha? Also, you can follow me at Ozman the Wizard on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Oz Radio on Snapchat and Facebook as well. And under construction right now, ozradio.net, the bomb.
And you can check me out, MSIMA8626 on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, STR8GULLEY1 on Twitter, STR8GULLEY7 on Instagram. Also, please like the Straight Gully Facebook fan page. Check out straightgully.com for your blogs and your vlogs. And for your video production needs, check out straightgullyproductions.com.
Well, I'm Ozman the Wizard.
And Naima.
We will talk to you later.
Bye.
I'm gone.